Well, back in 1996, Helen Hunt and the late Bill Paxton starred in the action thriller Twister. It was one of the biggest movies of the year, raking in a cool $762 million at the box office. And almost 30 years later, the standalone sequel, Twisters, has proven, well, to be just as popular with the crowds.
Go faster.
Let's ride. It's all right to be scared. Fear's the reason you do it.
Well, looks good. So just how realistic are these natural disaster movies? Enter meteorologist and author Cyrena Arnold, who has been obsessed with the weather since she was a child, studying and chasing storms. She's been up close and personal with nature's wildest tornadoes. Cyrena joins us now. Welcome to you. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
OK, let's break it down. How does the original Twister compare to the new Twisters movie?
Oh, man. You know, the original Twisters is actually the reason why a lot of people became meteorologists to begin with in this current generation. You know, so we were all going into it a little bit nervous, and they actually did a really good job with it. It is meteorologist approved. It's not meteorologist perfect. We can also understand they need to go to a movie theater and be entertained sometimes. It doesn't need to be perfect, but they got the science in this one a lot better than the first, and we're all really grateful for that.
Right.
What annoys you, though, Cyrena, when you see natural disaster movies? What's the one thing you think that's so fake? Apart from...
Oh, they always over-sensationalize it. They always make it so much worse than it needs to be. They defy the laws of physics, actually. So they make it a little bit more sensational, a little bit more crazy than is actually even physically possible. And that's great for entertainment. We all find it incredibly entertaining, but it totally lacks on the scientific accuracy part, and that's always a little difficult for us.
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston did that with Morning Wars with us, with this show.
They did defy the laws of physics, didn't they?
It lacks science. Have you had any close calls? Because you're out doing this stuff for real.
Yeah, you know what? Especially when you're just starting out, even though, you know, I am a meteorologist and most storm chasers aren't. I am a meteorologist, and in the beginning phases of it, you do make mistakes. You don't realize just sometimes how fast those storms are moving, and how hard it is to coordinate navigation with the storm chasing and keeping your eye on the weather. So yeah, I've had a few close calls. I've been caught in hail cores before. I've almost been struck by lightning once. You know, and they were all rookie mistakes, all very, very early mistakes made in the early days. So, but with more experience comes wisdom, and luckily I haven't had any close calls recently.
But technology has really changed the game. A lot of storm chasers now are not meteorologists. How has it advanced so that a regular Joe can now go out looking for tornadoes if they want to?
Great question. And it has changed a lot, where back in the 1990s, we didn't have the cell phone technology where you could have data and all this information right at your fingertips. I mean, when I first started in the early 2000s, you had to look at the maps and the imagery and the data before you left, and pick your place and go there and hope there was a public library that had internet access. We used payphones to call back to someone that would stay back and tell us what was going on. Today, everything you need is in your hands. And so almost anybody can be a storm chaser. Doesn't mean that they should. There's a lot of training that needs to come with it and meteorological expertise. But if you go through the right steps, you do some first aid training and things like that, because a big part of what we do is being also first responders on the scene, reporting to National Weather Service. It's more than just going out and experiencing something crazy. So if you really start to understand why we're doing it and get the proper education, the technology has allowed for almost anybody to be able to go out and storm chase today.
Yeah, compared to when you're carrying around a paper map and any raindrop could ruin it for you.
That's
or
it.
wind
Gone.
and, I don't know where it's gone. It's over now. Where we are.
Hey, Cyrena, we see the news headlines annually about Tornado Alley, and we always ask ourselves this question: why would people live in a place called Tornado Alley? But what makes it so very volatile, and how is climate change affecting that particular area?
Yeah, fantastic question. So Tornado Alley is a part in the central United States where we have cold air from Canada that comes down and meets very warm, moist air from the southern United States that comes up from the Gulf of Mexico. And it's on the west is bound by the Rocky Mountains. And so that's a phenomenal area where you have these contrasting air masses come together, and it's what produces these amazing thunderstorms. Now, this has stretched from Kansas up through North Dakota, but what we're noticing is this has actually an eastward migration with climate change right now. So as our climate climate does change as we warm up, we are noticing some shifts, and now some states that are included are a little bit further east, closer to and east of the Mississippi River. Kentucky, Tennessee, places like that are now starting to be included in Tornado Alley because of climate change.
What about with kids? What do you say to them about going out in storms and how they can even feel, less scared when they see these freak weather events? Because even watching it on TV, I guess in their minds, it feels like it's everywhere these days. Any tips for them?
The best thing is just education. So, I wrote 2 children's books about the weather, and in them they're factually accurate and they're scientific. Kids don't want to hear that thunder is, some man upstairs stomping his feet. They need to know that thunder is caused by hot expanding air caused by lightning. They need to understand the reality of the risks in a way that's not intimidating or scaring, but be honest with them. And so that's the biggest thing, is look for the information. Anytime there's a fear there, the best thing to counteract that fear is always education. Through proper information. So no fake entertainment like news for these kids. Really tell them what's going on. They'll surprise you. They'll understand it.
So, I'm going to have to explain to my husband it's not Zeus,
the
Greek god, stomping now. That's going to be a lot.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard sell.
For years.
He's held on to that for a long time.
He has.
Cyrena, thank you so much. Really, really interesting talking to you this morning.
What a job.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Gosh, we're underachievers, aren't we? Well, if you want to learn more, check out Cyrena Arnold's podcast as well. It's fantastic. Stormfront Freaks.
Sorry, did you automatically include me in that underachiever thing?
No, because you've got the gold logie norm. Sorry, you're no longer in the category of underachiever. You've achieved it all.